Welcome to the Family Pulpit Podcast. This is episode 16. I'm doing the intro because I'm the co-host, and I shouldn't be doing the intro. But this is a no headphones for me day. I can't hear my voice electronically, so I'm just
This is my real voice.
Yeah, it is my real voice. This guy has headphones on. Somebody jacked the headphones.
Who could that be?
The
headphones jack. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Family Pulpit Podcast. As the co-host stated, this is episode 16.
This is about third and fourth wave feminism. This is only going to be about 15 to 25 minutes long because we don't have a lot left.
Whoa. You can't do that. You can't pin us in like that.
My squirrels last about 25 minutes overall.
Listen, since we're trying to wrap up feminism, can you give me a general definition of what feminism is?
This is tough. I think I would say that feminism is the misunderstanding and violation of the assigned identity of the family and woman.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty good. Did you just try to piece it all together right there?
Yeah.
Okay, not bad. So, do you remember anything we talked about in the last episode?
Gemini's going to write you an essay on that.
Do you remember anything we talked about in the last episode?
Last episode... Well, last episode was kind of like a continuation of the first episode.
It was. Last episode, we talked about second wave.
How many episodes of feminism have we had? Like 5.
Well, we had to do one that was short. We've done maybe 3 or 4. And the reason why we've taken so long to do this is because of how broad feminism is and how impactful it was on the family.
I honestly completely think we should pull down all our other feminisms and just compile them into a 2-hour video.
That may not be a bad idea. Have one long episode.
Yeah, so that we can just
let's finish this
continue back at episode 12.
Let's finish up this one, and then let's see if we can combine them all into one episode. It'll be one long historical survey of feminism. So last time we looked at second wave feminism. We
had a church sermon this morning about people listening in other countries, and we found out that a bunch of people were listening to our podcast in other countries. So hello to people in other countries, and we hope that this helped you understand the gospel. Not
a bad idea. Also, we also found out, not related to the church sermon, but we found out that what was the percentage of people who listen but aren't subscribers?
Like 93.
86?
93, dude.
No, it was. Hang on a second. Let's check. But I mean, we're not even rolling on this podcast yet. By the way,
I beat you with the whatchamacallit. Let me work on the banner and stuff, and I will cook. We will cook.
I really don't know what you're talking about.
Let's just post a few brain rot videos just to get some subscribers in.
We're gonna. Okay, so 81.7% of the people that listen are not subscribed.
Yeah, so we're gonna be like Typical Gamer and that other guy. What's his name? Dream, right here. How did I forget that? We're gonna be like them. I'm gonna do the Dream voice. It looks like 81% of you are not subscribed, so you can just go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and if you want to know how to subscribe, you can always do that. Okay. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the video.
This has been a long introduction, and you wanted the whole podcast to be 15 to 20 minutes. There's literally no way. So, 1, let's recap the intro. 1, thank you to those from other countries who are listening. 2,
we exist. Just want to throw that out
if you listen, please subscribe. It doesn't matter, I guess, if you subscribe on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. Although YouTube does help us out a little bit more better. Help us out a little more if you subscribe there. Yeah. We have also
2 sneak peeks.
We have also had a subscriber, lost a subscriber, gained a subscriber, lost a subscriber. That might be due to Notes from the Pulpit, which, by the way, let me plug this. So in addition to this main show that you're listening to, we also have Notes from the Pulpit. A lot of times that is me driving on the way to work. If you listen to that and you feel like that I am overly critical of the current administration and that maybe I'm coming off as some liberal, no, I am not a liberal in any way, shape, form, or fashion, to quote our former governor.
Yeah, we're both quoting people.
I am conservative, have always been conservative, lifelong conservative, and that allows me the freedom to be able to criticize those who claim to be conservatives and those who claim to be Christians. So don't unsubscribe just because I'm harping on someone.
If somebody were ever to tell me that I'm liberal, I would say your mom's liberal.
Awkward moment of silence. 11-year-old conservative? What are you, Alex P. Keaton? For those out there who are familiar with the old Family Ties, he is a young Alex P. Keaton in the making.
That?
I make
Can
no
somebody tell
apologies.
me who that
Nope,
is?
you'll have to look that up for yourself later. So
Alex P. Keaton, got
listen up. Episode 16. In the last... Uh-oh, my audio just got jacked. In the last episode, pull it up. We talked about second wave feminism. Okay.
Yes.
And second wave feminism, let's scroll back up here to our notes that we've been kind of going by. Just to catch ourselves up here real quick, we are lumbering along at the intro of this. But second wave feminism kind of ran from the 1960s to the 1980s. Do you remember?
Get on with it, old man.
Are you talking to me?
No.
I don't know how much of this intro that I'm going to have to edit. I'd just like to point out, you notice this right here? We are 6 minutes in. We have not said one thing about this episode. And we've been completely random from the start, out of the gate.
Go watch Phineas and Ferb. It's a good show.
Oh my goodness. They're going to make this is going to be a 45-minute episode of randomness, of squirrels.
30 minutes worth of it being squirrels, yeah.
Huh?
35 minutes of it being squirrels.
Second wave feminism, we talked about 3 main influences in the last episode. The first one was the FDA approves the pill, and the pill was the pill that blocks pregnancy. Okay.
The pill.
That allowed women to kind of take their own, take pregnancy in their own hands and empowered them to be in the workplace and not be interrupted by births at all. Okay.
Although imagine like you had a terrible disease and it was hereditary, then you might want to take it. That would be the only situation that I would say that you would take that.
That's not the reason why they were taking
that.
But
if you
at all.
had a hereditary
I would not be pro the pill.
Huh? If you had a hereditary sickness that you knew your child was going to get, then you would say
so that what you're arguing for ultimately
Wait a minute.
Wait a second. No, you wait a second. Ultimately, what you're arguing for interrupts God's providence and sovereignty. So that's the same argument that people use today for abortion, because they say they'll do the genetic testing. In fact, this is just something that's come up in the news within the last month. They'll do the genetic testing. They'll find out if you're predisposed for some sort of disease or disability, and they will abort the child, or they will prevent you from having a child, or they will alter your genes in order to keep you from having that. And I think that's playing God. I know you didn't know that and you hadn't thought through that. But what the pill does, it's essentially an abortifactant. It blocks, I think I've got that word right, by the way. It blocks the egg and the sperm from joining together. And I think it can be a form of abortion. And I also think, having been in this situation 20 some years ago myself, I think it's harmful on women's bodies. I think ultimately it can lead to a series of miscarriages if you're not careful.
Did you know
I don't think it should be used at all. And I also don't think it should be used as a way out for women to maintain their place in the workplace. The U.S. Department of Interior labeled overpopulation as the greatest threat to the quality of living in 1966.
Quote Maze Runner.
So if the United States government is saying that overpopulation is the biggest threat, and you want women in the workforce, which means you want to disrupt the home and you want to control that, you introduce the pill, what have you done? You have women who just keep right on plugging along, don't have to worry about babies at all. You can climb the ladder at the corporate office, and you can get as high as you want. You don't have to worry about babies interrupting this. You can take time and plan that in your late 30s. By the way, this fits into the narrative that the government is providing that says we've got too many people. How are we going to get rid of that? Well, we're going to introduce this pill, but we're not going to tell you that we're going to give you this pill in order to abort or keep us from having babies. We're going to give you this pill and say, this is empowering you women to be able to work. Now, guess what? Our deaths in the United States are outpacing births for the first time ever. Do you know why? Because men and women aren't having babies. Do you know why they're not having babies?
Because they're all sissies.
No, because they've been believing lies like this garbage right here for the last 70 years. Okay?
76 years.
Now that we're rolling a little bit on this podcast, and you can see I have it sometimes can get a little bit intense.
2 things.
What?
Pokemon Go trained AI.
Okay.
Second thing, Mitchell, if you're listening to this, which I know you go through and probably scalp our podcasts, copy them onto your own channel. Also, your friend Dean commented on my channel, so
You interrupted that long diatribe for those 2 points?
Yes.
The second...
Mitchell, stop listening to this podcast immediately. I'm going to ban you from YouTube.
I'm going to have to edit all this out if you don't quit.
No? Okay.
The second main thing that we talked about from second wave feminism, the main influence, was JFK. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So JFK comes along and he establishes the Presidential Commission on the Status of Women. He was the first Catholic president, helped break down barriers into evangelicalism that had originally broken down. They kind of get rebuilt back up a little bit. Hang on. What? Go ahead.
JFK was blown away. What else do I have to say?
Thank you for quoting song lyrics. The third main thing we talked about, third main influence on second wave feminism, was the publication of Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique. Okay, so go take a look at that, listen to that episode, check out those three things for yourself. You can see how all three of them were crucial to that second wave feminism. We also talked about Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. It was largely, the word sex was added in there as a joke by a legislator. It made it illegal to discriminate against women in the workplace. I think we also talked about Title IX.
Go check our last podcast for a reference to a book called How Philosophy Works. On one of the chapters, there is actually a chapter on like a mini page on feminism, and it talked about Beauvoir. Is that her name? Simone de Beauvoir.
Yeah, that pronunciation
talks
may be
about
wrong,
her. She had. Book Second Sex talks about the discrimination between the word sex and the word gender. Yeah, the difference. Which actually clears things up, because I'm like, why do we have two synonyms that are used interchangeably?
So from that last episode, yeah, we did mention that. We did pull in those books as well and talk about them some. Radical feminism kicks off during this time period. Remember, we're in the 1960s, okay? So after this, in the 70s, we've got the culture wars. I don't know if you remembered us talking about this at all. Do you know what culture wars refer to? So the emphasis from the Christian perspective. Remember in the 1940s and 50s, we were talking about Henry Luce, and I looked up the pronunciation of this. It's like juice. It's Luce. Henry Luce, Luce. And remember how they put an emphasis on patriotism and that communism was the great enemy that bound everybody together? Do you remember that? So what happens when that communist enemy kind of breaks down? They need a new enemy. So the enemy becomes abortion. The enemy becomes those who would oppose the nuclear family, and that just means husband and wife, father, mother, and children. No.
Also, comment below why you think The Simpsons are yellow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That period also was the rise of Roe v. Wade. Now, this is the abortion. This is why I was hitting that pretty hard in that opener there.
Roy G. Biv?
The Roe versus Wade. I'm not sure what you're talking about with Roy G. Biv. Is that on the screen somewhere?
Yeah, right there.
Roe versus Wade.
Oh, I thought it was Roe.
And that is the legislation that allowed the legalization of abortion to kill babies.
Who Roy G. Biv is?
To rip, just a second, other than Roy G. Biv, the Roe versus Wade, no joke, was something that's killed over 50 million babies in this country. So I don't feel like it coming out of second wave feminism. I don't feel like that's funny. I don't feel like it's a point that I feel like the country has ushered in judgment on itself for allowing that to happen. So, but anyway, the culture wars, they started revolving around the abortion issue and around supporting the natural family, husband, wife, kids, not supporting anything that would go by the name of gay marriage or homosexual marriage or something like that. Okay.
Hey, have you ever seen Groundhog Day? Yeah, this guy's name is Peter and he is gay.
Thank you for that.
I am.
Thank you. Okay, so leading into third wave feminism, we hit a post-feminist period, and that's roughly the late 70s into the 90s, but that's peak culture wars. That's where you have President Reagan. Have you ever heard anything about President Reagan, by the way?
He was the best president.
Really? I think what happened. So for me growing up,
Leland from Wednesday Night Church said that.
I think growing up, I would have thought Reagan was the best president too. But kind of looking back, I'm like, well, I don't know, because I think we were blinded by the culture wars. I think we were blinded by.
I think that whoever subscribes, their mom is the best president, unless their mom's Kamala Harris.
I don't even know what to do with you right now. We're 14 minutes in and
7 minutes of actual learning.
But 5 of those minutes have been random comments from you.
And 2 of them was the actual...
2 of them were my diatribes.
Your mom's diatribe. I'm sorry.
Okay, so anyway, regardless of one's opinion on Reagan, I think that we were distracted, and that's why you have that post-feminine period from late 70s to early 90s. I think largely we were distracted. Patriotism kind of gets a rise again. It kind of has a revival, so to speak. And I think we talked about some of this, right? Did we talk about Reagan and the evil empire?
No.
We didn't?
I don't think so.
I think we must have, though, right? This is listed under second wave.
Wait.
I think we did. Jerry Falwell.
Why are we doing third wave?
I'm working down. I'm just doing a little bit of review to help bring us up to speed. Moral majority, and then here we are, right? Yeah. The Reagan period kind of put a pause on that feminism acceleration. We were focused on the end of the Cold War. We were focused on the culture wars, the rise of the moral majority, and so feminism kind of takes this period, its backseat period. But guess what happens? So listen, here's where we go. Third wave feminism is from the 1990s to 2000s. It begins in the 90s and it emphasizes individualism and diversity. It challenges the definition of femininity and gender roles. It actually becomes almost like a reaction to second wave feminism. Now, in the 1990s, something crazy happened. Okay? There was a Supreme Court justice who was nominated by, what would that be? George Bush the First? Would that be right? I think it is. And his name's Clarence Thomas. He actually still sits on the seat of the Supreme Court right now, which lets us know that he was confirmed. But in order to prevent or block him from being made a Supreme Court justice, several accusations were made against him, including a woman by the name of Anita Hill. So this was massive in the 90s, okay? Remember, just for you, think about this for just a second. So imagine, one, if you didn't have streaming television. And two, if you didn't really even have cable, I mean, you sort of did, but your main channels were going to be like your NBC, ABC. How would
you watch Groundhog Day back then in the 90s? Would you get it on VHS?
You could get on VHS, and then TBS always played the reruns. So you had a few cable channels.
How would it have looked back then?
What do you mean?
How would it have looked like on screen?
Cross your eyes and spin around in a circle and then go watch TV and you'd be like, man, the pixelation of this TV is pretty terrible right now.
Yeah.
Compared to what we see today. Yeah. But imagine...
Hey guys, I just want to say right now.
You're way far away. I don't even think they can hear you.
Groundhog Day, one of my favorite movies. Love it. Go watch it.
But what I'm getting at is imagine if you didn't have streaming television. Imagine no YouTube, no nothing. Oh. And all of your TV channels are dominated by a trial, a court case. And so when you turn it on...
That would suck.
All you're really seeing is Clarence Thomas trying to defend himself at this at his hearing, and Anita Hill saying she was harassed by him, and all of these bad things happen.
I guess I would have to go read a book.
What Anita Hill's testimony did, they were televised hearings against the Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas for sexual harassment. That means that he, as a man, was doing unwanted things, according to her. Okay, this fueled division. In 1992, there was a record number of women who ran for political office. So essentially, it sparked a new revival in feminism.
Like world record, like the most of there ever
been?
This
is the most there's ever been,
including Kamala Harris, right?
In the 90s, she did end up running.
Whoa, she actually did.
She was a lawyer.
I was just joking.
In San Francisco, I believe.
San Francisco.
The individualism of prior decades focused on white, middle-class, suburban women. Okay, now pay attention here. Clarence Thomas happens to be of darker skin. He happens to be black. Okay, Anita Hill, she also was black. Whoa. So in 1992, when this court case happens, what you have is women, first of all, begin to run for office more. And second of all, they look back to first and second wave feminism and they say, hey, that was largely white, middle-class, suburban women. What about us?
Wait, would Anita Hill have been like Warren Hill's
No, I don't think there's any relation there. Oh. So this creates a term called intersectionality. So if you've listened over the last 4 or 5 years to the news and you've heard about woke or woke theology, woke ideology, liberalism of the woke variety, intersectionality is a massive term. So let me explain intersectionality to you.
It's not spelled right, is it?
Yes, it is.
It is spelled right?
Yes.
Oh.
Intersectionality is the point at which you have multiple, we'll call them minorities, okay? multiple minority positions. Okay, let's say that you are. Let's say, for example, okay.
Uh-oh.
Let's say
me a brown skin guy, aren't you?
No. Let's say, for example, that there is a darker skinned female. Okay, and she happens also to be gay. Now, look, you've got one trajectory, and then the other trajectory intersects with that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so now you've got 2 points. So on a sliding scale,
sort of like one of those tables for genetics. Like
maybe.
A, B,
Yes.
A,
Exactly right.
B, A,
Yes.
B, B.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So what actually happens is that the lowest person on that table would happen to be the straight white male, middle class white male. Okay, they would be the lowest.
What do you mean by middle class?
That would be someone who's not extremely rich, but also not extremely poor. It's what's called the middle class.
So low class and high class are the other ones?
No,
Dang.
you can consider that way.
So I can't stand when there is a section like that where there's assumed like a second class and then there's generally third and first and then they don't have the third and first. That irks me. That's one of my pet peeves.
Well, that sort of is the way that it is. There I don't know if you'd necessarily call them low class, high class, but middle class is kind of your normal everyday average people. They're the people that go to work every day.
Are we middle class?
Yeah, we would be middle class because you have to.
I'm low class.
They make this boundary now based on how much income you have. So you have to have several $100,000 in income.
I make about, if you divide, let's say I make $50 today, and then, but I worked on that computer a month ago, so that I pretty much make like $350 a day.
Okay. You'd still be middle class. You may be low class.
I think I would be low class at that point.
Economically challenged, let's say.
Hey.
So, with that understanding of intersectionality, this could be you've got a different race, which I reject that category, but we're going for the way that it's being defined today.
And they inserted that word in the Bible. We're going to make another podcast.
They did insert that in Romans chapter 9. So race, class, gender, they're all linked to the same fight. Everybody jumps into this fight, okay? Before, what you mainly had was, and this is why it affects the topic that we've been talking about with the family economy and the breakdown of that. Because remember how they pulled women out of the home and put them in the workforce, and then they kind of used women. They said, "Hey, look, we need you to go back to the home. Oh, hey, look, the war's starting, World War II. We need you to go back and we need to take the jobs of the men. Remember that? Oh, the men are coming back. We need you to go back into the home." The Riveter, Rosie the Riveter. They did this over and over and over again.
Over and over.
But mostly what was happening is feminism was a reaction to that. So rather going back to the beginning and going, you know what, we need to reestablish the home. What feminism does is it takes the status quo and it kind of says, you know what, this is where we're at and we want equal rights and equal opportunities. Rather than saying the woman was meant to be the help of the man as God created them.
Let's head over to the digital platforms.
No, bro, you're not directing this. The
social media, etc., become huge.
Hang on just 1 second before you jump there. What you have to understand is that this third wave feminism fight, it becomes inflammatory. It's like gasoline on the fire. Okay?
Oh, like for that scene from Iron Man 2 where there's all that gasoline and then the guy throws the whiplash onto the fire and it explodes. Kind of like that.
Sure. What had happened in the first two waves was you had legislation that was trying to control things. Okay? So we want laws that are passed. Remember that we just talked about Title VII, Title IX. Huh?
Which branch is that? That's the Senate?
The legislative branch.
And the House of Representatives.
Legislature passes laws. So that's the way that it was before. Now, rather than laws being passed, what it is the battles being fought in the public square. And largely what happens now is that public square isn't like going down to the market. You know how we go down to the market and maybe you've got a courthouse or you've got the local town hall and that's where fights might have taken place in the past. Or even a Capitol Hill. If you were going up to Capitol Hill and you wanted, or your local state representation and you wanted laws to be passed. Now that battle place is the public square that's online. And it's shifting towards this. So we know in the 90s, the internet wasn't really a thing yet, but it starts to develop speed. And so now it becomes inflammatory. And like you just mentioned, digital platforms, social media, they become huge. This puts the spotlight on radical individualism, not the family. We've lost focus of that family. Now we've been taking it off of the individual, which comes out of the 60s and second wave feminism, and it's become radical feminism. I can do whatever I want to do. which reminds me of the Bible verse that says, everyone did what was right in their own eyes. That's where this third wave feminism takes us. Yes, sir.
So the legislative branch is the Senate and the House of Representatives, and the executive branch is the president and the what?
Largely the president, and there's the judicial.
What's the judicial branch?
Like the Supreme Court we were just talking about.
Okay, so judicial is essentially the law, so Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm. No. The legislative writes the law,
but they enforce the law, kind of.
The judicial?
Yeah.
Yes, the legislative makes the law.
Yeah. Legislative, it consists of the Senate and the House of Representatives, and it does the law, and then the executive is the president.
Yeah.
Tick, 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 boom! I know history, actually. Or, no, that would be politics.
So, traditional roles of women, they were actively fought against, okay? If we thought that there was a way to get women back into the home, which the maternalists were fighting for in late first wave, early second wave time period, to restore the family home, even through legislative processes. Do you remember we talked about that? FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was one of the key figures in this. Even Teddy Roosevelt, really, they tried to restore the family home because they knew that was the way that you had to have more births. Births had to outweigh deaths in the country in order for it to be successful. And in order to do that, you had to have the woman that was in the home. And so they offered incentives to get women back in the home. But remember that what ended up happening is the government replaced the male or the husband as one for the women to lean on. Do you remember that? Remember coverture? We went all the way back and we talked about coverture and how that developed in the UK. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And then we saw how the government was trying to replace the husband. So we don't want you to rely on the male. We want you to be your own individual. And the government kind of comes along and says, you know what? We want you to rely on us, not the husband, not the male. And it created this shift. And eventually you had individualism that just takes hold. And they say, well, we can do whatever we want to do. Well, that's where we are. The transition from third to fourth wave is brought on by that online social media that we were just talking about. And it explodes. From 2008 to 2013 is a massive explosion of the online community, so that the fourth wave gets kicked off in 2012. It now focuses on issues such as sexual harassment, body shaming, and certain other cultures that we'll just kind of hold back here for just a second. So I'm not going to mention it explicitly, but let's just say it's men forcing their way on women. It created like the Me Too movement that we saw within the last 5 years or so. So fourth wave feminism, it takes on the third wave is very short. Then fourth wave kicks on and it explodes because of social media.
Tick, 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 boom. Hey, did you know TikTok has ruined teenagers? That's essentially the what you're talking about here.
Yeah, okay. So fourth wave feminism, we won't talk a whole lot about this, but I am going to point out that because we had the radical individual and because we had the rise of intersectionality, what actually happens is these traditional gender roles of male and female, they get broken down too as a direct result of feminism in the fourth wave. You know what now happens? Now, you don't have to have anybody force you into these stereotypical roles, which means if you want to be a sissy male, you can be a sissy male. If you want to be a manly woman, you can be a... No. You can be a manly woman. And you could be any hybrid in between. This leads to largely the trans movement. Okay, all of these things are related. Feminism is the background and foundation. And really, you can sort of understand first and second wave feminism to an extent, although I would argue along even with our government that tried to do good things to bring the woman back into the home, that rugged individualism separated the family and created this downstream just mess of where everybody can do whatever it is that they want to do. Now, pushback comes in the way of online influencers, but they're not doing it the right way. And I haven't looked a whole lot of this, although I've seen it. They're called trad wives. They're saying, we got to get back into the house. We're not coming at this from a biblical angle. You also have the rise of the manosphere and Christian patriarchy. Do you know what the manosphere is? Hey, young man, you've got to be rugged and tough and manly, and you've got to grab life by the horn, and you got to have muscles, and you got to be able to look at a woman and say, "Woman, get in there and make me a sandwich." But it has this. it has this culture, this online culture that appeals to young men because they say, man, you know what? That guy that's talking to me right now, he looks manly. He's got nice cars. He smokes cigars. He has muscles. That's what I want to be when I grow up. But the problem is that they divorce the gospel from that.
I'm not really intent on that. I'm already manly.
I know. I see that whisker.
Way.
You do have one whisker there. Let's keep.
I don't have to worry about trying
curl
to be
that
manly.
thing.
Still, I'm buff. I'm actually kind of buff.
So mostly this appeals to guys that are a little bit older than you, a little bit older than 11. So I would say probably 16 to 30. And what they try to do is, too, this is a positive, though. They try to pull them out of the video game culture and out of the soy milk culture. And they tell them, hey, you know what? You've got to be strong. And you've got to get up and do something for yourself. But it's not, it's gospel-less. It's lacking the gospel. It's lacking Christ.
The gospel.
I also think, by the way, the manosphere is an ungodly attempt to replace the Father. What actually, the only way back is the only way back into this path, into the right path, is for there to be a godly father in the home that takes back his God-given rights to lead his family, which includes his wife and includes his children. And she then must be his help, and his children must then be subordinate to him. He essentially has to be the priest of his home and represent his family to God. He has to be the king of his home, and that means that he has to be the one that provides the direction that the family is going to go, and he has to speak with that prophetic voice. He has to speak with the voice that says, you know what, sit down, and let's open up God's word, and let's see what it has to say about this. And he has to provide that direction. The manosphere wants to be a replacement for that. It's a secular replacement to the Father. I know you haven't seen that at all. You haven't looked at that at all. But you have looked at the guys who spend a lot of their times goofing around online, playing video games. Listen, I love the Dude Perfect guys, okay? As far as I know, they're Christian guys, and they proclaim the name of Christ quite a bit. But I'm going to be a little critical here. Okay?
Oh, no. I
don't think that grown men should spend their time blowing up stuff, trying to be goofy. I think the times that we're in require serious and sober analysis. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is an area where you can comment in. You love those guys. You love watching the shows of all these other guys. Who are your other guys that you watch?
Well, there's this one guy called Sam. There's this one guy called Sambucha. Me and Mitchell agree. He's kind of a cool guy. Like, because he plays video games, you'd think he'd be kind of squishy, but he's not. He actually, I think he works out and stuff.
Okay, but who are the other guys you watch?
Hang Time. He's pretty
Hang
cool.
Time, who's also a Christian.
Yeah.
But he also gets kind of caught in the silliness stuff, right? He's doing silly pranks and silly experiments and silly stuff like this. And I get it. That's what we young men like you want to hear, right? Like, listen, you've yelled at Mitchell a couple times here, okay? No disrespect to Mitchell, but he showed by putting out a video there that says things that you shouldn't eat before bedtime, and then getting 20,000 views? 30,000 views on a video. And one of them was don't eat an Abrams tank before bed, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, don't eat Freddy Fazbear before bed.
Right. And you know what? Guys like you and even older, little bit older generation.
I thought that was kind of funny.
It may be funny, but that's what I'm saying. It appeals to us because we need to be taking a sober, serious look at things.
I didn't find it that appealing.
That doesn't mean that we need to be serious all the time. There's certainly a time for laughter. There's certainly a time for jokes.
Being a goofy eye like me.
There's certainly a time for that. But a lot of these channels, they're stuck in this mentality where they just want to goof off and play games all day. And what I'm saying is, as a man, I don't need to fall into the trap of the manosphere, but I don't need to fall into the trap of the silly sphere either.
But what you don't know is that Hang Time actually has a Christian podcast on his channel as well.
That's good. I'm glad he does. What's his name? Ryan?
That's Ryan Trahan, which is also a Christian. And he does kind of less goofy stuff. And then, let's see, his name is, Michael. His name's Michael. I don't know his last name. Okay.
Well, third and fourth wave feminism. So that's kind of leads to where we're at today. Like the fourth wave, it leads into the entire trans movement, the entire LGBTQ movement. It's not only the breakdown of the family, but it's the breakdown of the workplace.
It leads to the Claire movement.
Family then becomes a mix, a hybrid of generations, gender, partnerships. It's a mosaic of broken glass is the best way to state this.
Did AI make this?
I think that I went through and made this outline up, with the research that I did.
And then you kind of had AI refine it.
No, I did not insert this into AI.
Ha, take that, ChatGPT. Also, I've watched some videos about people trying to imitate popular video games like Poppy Playtime and Five Nights at Freddy's using AI, and ChatGPT is always the worst.
What do you mean?
ChatGPT makes the worst game out of the imitations.
Yeah.
I
want to look up something here. Go ahead. Do you have any other comments on the silliness of some of the YouTube channels? I mean...
Well, I do want to say,
I'm not trying to throw him under the bus.
Doesn't like laugh at stuff. Like, he's not as like, he just kind of sits around and
listen, I think it's okay to laugh. Like, we laugh and have a good time on here. I'm clearly taking a little bit more serious tone on this episode than times past. But some of the topics they needed that soberness. But what I'm saying is like, I don't know, like...
We're not drunk. We're not drinking booze.
No, I know. So by sober, I mean clear thinking.
Yeah.
Clear analysis. And what I'm saying is that if you have a channel that has multi-millions of viewers, okay, and a lot of which are going to be young males, the young male doesn't necessarily need to see a lot of clowning around from older males. He needs to see a man who can do man work. He needs to see a man that can speak on issues as a man.
Like Wrangler Star.
Like Wrangler Star. Yeah, even like Dry Creek Wrangler, although I don't always agree with the theological things that he says.
Oh yeah,
but that's
original sin doesn't exist.
I will never back down from that one.
And I won't back.
All right.
You gotta admit that was, you can't resist that.
I can always resist it.
No, you can't.
What else do you have for these guys that are right up your alley?
Let's see if there's another one. There's this one guy, I think his name's Jack Pembroke. He does kind of similar stuff.
What about these guys that you always watch that are playing video games, though? And those are grown men.
Some aren't. Some are, like, kind of in the in-between phase. Like, they're like, in college, so they have a lot of free time. Like, there's a 23-year-old guy.
So, do you think by their... And here, we're highlighting the reaction to feminism, which goes by the name of manosphere. But then we're also looking at some of these YouTube channels that we'll call a silly sphere. Do you got another name we can call for that? So if
Sidiotic.
What is that?
Siliotic. I don't know.
Okay. So what do you think then? What do you think about what I'm saying? Do you disagree with what I'm saying largely?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why. Let's hear your argument why.
Well, I mean, Hang Time does this Christian podcast, so he's not like completely goofy. He's not like the difference in the mentality between Jack Pembroke and Hang Time is immense. Like, okay. Jack Pembroke is like, oh, hey, bro, oh, yeah. And Hang Time is just like, what's up?
Okay.
And then Sambucha is not, like, hype at all. Like, he's chill.
Okay.
Like, he talks normal. And he doesn't really get scared about the video games. Like, he just kind of plays them. He's like, everybody said this was a scary game. I'm going to play it right now. And I'm probably not going to get scared. And then he plays it, and he's like, oh, my gosh, it's actually kind of scary. And then it's over.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not that bad either. And then Dude Perfect, I mean, I don't even know. They kind of do a lot of stuff.
I don't know.
They do have a podcast, but it's not like a Christian podcast.
I'm not trying to come across as like the old dude who's picking on these guys, but I feel like your generation, even up to around age 30, they need videos from men. They need videos from men that aren't showing kind of silly, crazy stuff, but they need videos from men that can speak to the issues. They need to see men who act like men.
I have 8 months left in me.
Huh?
I have 8 months left to watch these guys. When I'm 12, I'll stop.
Really? Why 12? Are you a man then?
Yes.
That one whisker will multiply and become 2?
Yes. Be fruitful and multiply. Take dominion and subdue your cheek.
Subdue that cheek?
Yeah.
So the third wave feminism, I didn't mention this, but it largely was academic. It's cultural and academic. And the fourth wave is largely digital. That's where we're talking about the social media explosion.
I hope you don't mind me saying this, but our generation, Gen Alpha, is the textbook definition. I'm not going to say the actual word here because I don't want anybody be, like, hating on me. But it does start with an R, and Napoleon Dynamite does use it quite a bit.
Okay, don't say...
generation is literally that word. It's the definition of
You know that your generation, I think there's been studies on this, but they said that your generation is the first one to be dumber than the previous generation.
Yep, every single podcast.
Do you know why? It's because largely of this silly sphere that we're calling it. Largely these goofy videos, these brain rot videos, they're not advancing you. Like I want to set the bar high.
So I don't think it's so much as the silly sphere as it is TikTok and
same thing. Yeah,
using Instagram.
Okay.
For girls, it's more Instagram, I think.
Okay.
I didn't even know guys use TikTok. Like, that's scary.
Here's
And
another
then-
thing. Let me rephrase this another way. So
I think it's more brain rot than it is actually anything. You should see the kids at Wednesday night church.
hang on just a second. Lean in here. You're too far away, and you don't have headphones. That's way too close. You don't have headphones where you can hear yourself. So I don't want you to get lost and think that we can hear you well if we can't. You bring up Wednesday night church. Okay. I'm going to get personal for just a second.
Oh.
I don't know who all listens to this show, so I'm not going to mention names. But back when I was working with the youth, whatever you want to call it, youth minister,
what is this,
youth
dude?
pastor,
2005, there
youth
was
leader,
no brain rot, bro.
Not 2005. I'm talking 2010 to 2012-ish.
Oh,
okay?
So Bella actually existed?
So Bella was there a lot.
Oh.
Back in that time period, we had...
Is this RC3 we're talking here?
Can you not mention names, as I stated?
Sure.
Back in that time period, there was a lot of emphasis on games and fun. Okay. I am not a games and fun kind of guy. I'm not going to come in and I'm not going to lead a bunch of games. I'm not going to invent games. I'm not going to take people out to have fun because I don't think that the times that we're in allow for all of the fun and games. Does that mean we would have no fun? No, absolutely. That doesn't mean that. Okay. I love to have fun. I love to laugh and joke. I love to drop jokes like we did yesterday at the restaurant.
Hello.
I love to make people laugh. But at the same time, your focus has to be serious. So what the approach that I took in the youth, as a youth leader, was to set a bar high and cut out some of the games and parties. And the reason that I did that is because I thought it's far more important for someone to have a desire to hear God's word, a desire to learn and grow from God's word, than it is for them to have a pizza party. If we're going to attract them with pizza parties, then we have to have pizza parties in order to keep them. Okay? So to your point that you were saying, well, what have you seen the kids at Wednesday night? I haven't, and I'm not throwing them under the bus. I'm talking about a decade or more ago.
No, not that.
Do not mention names.
I'm not. But there are kids that just go non-stop talking. This one video game, two video games.
Whoa, wait. Non-stop talking? Hello, I'm going to pull the mirror out.
I'm going to punch you.
No, you're not. So, like, what were you saying about the kids that you know? I know you have, I don't want to talk about names or specifics really, but I know you have a lot of friends in youth group, soon to be youth group, but at least Awana's, and also your homeschool co-op. So what are your thoughts on this? What are their influences? Their online influences? Are there things that are taking them down this path?
Two things.
Okay.
Roblox and Steel Brain Rot.
Okay, what's Steel Brain Rot?
Well, it's like you kind of run... It's sort of... I think it started maybe as a Roblox game and then kind of went alone as a standalone. On Crazy Games, there's also a remake of it called Steel A Brain Rot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's where most people play it, but I know it's really popular and pretty much everybody plays it. Like, even our cousin plays it and our cousin's friend, including my friend at Wednesday Night Church.
Mm-hmm.
Rhymes with pain. And...
Come on.
And I don't know if Pain plays it actually, but it's like you kind of run around, kind of looking like a Roblox character, and there's this conveyor belt in the middle of the map, and so it's kind of like a match-based game, or not match-based, but like lobby-based. Okay. And everybody kind of assigns a lobby when you first log in.
So let me ask you,
hundreds of different lobbies, if not thousands, if not.
So millions. You and your friends are ready to head into middle school, okay? And right now, there's a heavy emphasis upon games, video games. And do you think that your friends, you don't have to, I don't want to hear any names. I just want a general statement. Do you think that your friends are able to come into that middle school environment and to talk intellectually or to talk intelligently about, one, the things of Scripture, and two, how that applies to the things of the world?
No way, Jose.
Okay.
I don't think it is because, they don't give, like, as much in-depth, like, responses as I do. Like, I say an essay when I respond to something. Well,
you'll do that over whatever topic. It could be the topic of carrots, and you would give an in-depth essay. So I'm not using you as the standard. What I'm simply saying is back in those times...
maybe, I don't know.
Back in those times when I was in youth group, it seemed like...
Can I keep describing the Steel Brain Rot game?
No, let's
not.
The
other part was very important. Like
okay, what was the important part of it?
Well, you had the conveyor belt in the middle. The biggest part of the game is scrolling on it are different brain rot characters that are assigned a value, and you
The
grab
fact
them,
that it's called brain rot.
you
I mean,
grab
hello.
them, you put them in your little area. There's a button you click to put a jail on it. When that jail wears off, if you don't hit the button to refresh it, somebody can run in and steal your brain rot and bring it back to their place. If you catch them, if you run up to them while they're trying to steal it and hit them with your in-game hammer, then they'll reset and go back to their thing, and you get to keep their brain rot.
Okay. Rather than going through an entire playthrough of this game,
and then Roblox, everybody knows what Roblox is.
All I simply wanted to point out is that this online community that allows for the explosion of feminism has now had pushback in the form of the manosphere. And those are the people who are like, hey, look, we've got muscles, we smoke cigars, we're rich, we've got all these women, we've got cars, we've got big houses, these are the things that you need to aspire to as a man. And what I'm saying, there's that part of the internet. Then there's the part that appeals to a lot of the young men even more so, and that is the check your brain out. Check your brain out and come into the silly land. Come into the land where we play pranks. Come to the land where we just play games all the time. You can have a life too. Hey, just come in. You don't need the muscles and the cars and the women and all this stuff, but you can just come play games and waste your life playing the games. Do you understand the difference that I'm saying? So I'm saying there's two traps.
I'm not really an either one, I don't think.
Well, I would hope not.
I know I'm not in the manosphere, and I don't even really, I don't do perfect. I'm
not throwing them under the bus, though. I know. And it does get old and tiring. And what I'm saying is that there needs to be not necessarily someone, but for your age group, that middle school boy, and then heading into high school especially, it needs to be a level of seriousness that comes along, right? Like Paul says, when I was a boy, I thought like a boy. And you can take the implication for that. I thought like a boy. I did the things of a boy, but now I'm a man. And so what we've done is that we've allowed
up at Wendy Peppercorn.
What we've done is we've lowered the bar of what a man is all the way down to like the age of 18 or to the age of 18. When we're not training,
we were men at 15.
We're not training the young men to be men now. And that doesn't mean that you've got to be able to raise a family now, but that means that you have to start thinking as a man.
I would like to.
Like years ago, and even these time periods that we've talked about in feminism, men went to war at age 15. They would lie on their, this, we've seen this in movies, right? They lie on their births. They lie on
Rogers.
Yep. I was going to say Captain America. They lie and they go to war at age 15. What they want to go fight for their country. Yeah, they would say, yeah, you know what? I'm whatever the age was, 16, 17, 18. Men are going into these positions that would be unheard of today. So that's all. We're not really random, and we're not really kind of off on a tangent somewhere. It's related. It's all related to this. What I'm going to summarize in our last podcast here on feminism is the overall feminization of society.
Did you just say that this isn't the last feminism?
This
podcast?
Is our last one.
Well, then what are you talking about summarizing it?
I just said I'm going to summarize on this, our last feminism podcast, as overall the feminization of society.
All right.
That means for you as well.
Can I close this out?
Bro, you're trying to jump out of here, right? Yeah, you can close this out. That's it. So hang on just a second. So we talked a little bit about third wave feminism. We didn't talk a whole lot about fourth wave, but I just wanted to point out that they exist and they're ongoing now. The key main points here are intersectionality, the rise of the LGBTQ movement, and the social media online explosion. So Me Too kind of died down a little bit, but just have these in your mind and understand that where we came from can be traced all the way back through history, from fourth to third to second to first wave feminism, and largely the breakdown of the family. So for our entire podcast here, what we're doing is we want to see what the main influences were for the breakdown of the family and the family economy. And the last one that we've discussed now is feminism, and it actually had a greater impact on culture and society than arguably even the Industrial Revolution. Okay?
Okay.
Close this out, boy.
Wait, one more thing I want to mention right here about, I didn't get to tell you, how impactful Roblox has been.
Okay.
And how it impacts.
Let's hear how impactful.
So, my friend, Hi-Ho.
Just don't mention names. You don't even have to, you can just say my friend.
My friend, doesn't play any other games but Roblox. The issue here is, first of all, his parents don't discriminate whatsoever.
Hey.
That's the issue on Roblox.
No. Don't throw an individual under the
I'm
bus.
not throwing an individual under the bus. I'm saying you need discrimination in order to play in Roblox in the first place. Because there's lots of demon stuff. There's lots of language, I'm sure. I'm sure there's lots of games that have bad content in them. And, well, so...
See, that's where you need to be.
Okay. So, essentially, because Roblox has millions of games, it makes it... He has ADHD, so it kind of cooks that.
Okay, why don't you wrap us up here?
Okay, thank you for watching the Family Pulpit Podcast. Go check us out on all of our podcast platforms, pretty much everything that ever existed in the history of mankind.
I don't know about that. Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Please subscribe.
That's pretty much everything. Please subscribe. If you're in another country, hello. Number two is we have a lot of more content on YouTube. So if you're on Apple, Spotify, go check out our YouTube channel. We have clips from the pulpit, notes from the pulpit, notes from the co-host, and then we have all kinds of other stuff. So check that out. We also are going to be dropping, hopefully, compilations from the pulpit soon.
We may pull all of this feminist into one
we're going to try that. We're going to probably compile this, and I'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Adios.
We'll catch you on the next one.